Catastrophe, written by Simon Granström. Chapter 1. Establishment. I'm not a cat, you know, I said. Traffic was terrible. It's not like the next wave from Pluto is arriving. A cold rock for cold absorbing shapeshifters. The zodiac people are indeed peculiar. They are for sure not welcomed here. That I am for certain. The establishment don't allow it. But you look like a cat, Kane, Pedro said. Do I need to remind you of Her Majesty's present? I said, quite amused. Her Majesty sat in the back seat. Quietly she chuckled, and then shrugged off our present. I smiled through the mirror. Oh man, I'm pretty. Pedro shook his head. Just some miles left until we are in the capital. This escort mission is sure boring. I opened the door for Her Majesty. Recklessly she stepped outside and pushed me aside. Hey! I exclaimed. It's not like I've already been pushed around today. How pity, she said. Such savage animal can't even hold down its own temper. Pedro locked the car and handed over a beer to me. We followed Her Majesty. If you say so, I said bittersome. We were home again. When the gates opened for us, I felt a sense of familiarity. It has been some time, huh? I thought while taking in the beautiful view. Being raised up here have been such a ride. I'm lucky that they took me in. Pedro showed the way past the waterfall. We ended up at the floating luxury palace. Robots serving drinks made my head shake. It just reminds me of the old days. The old days when my people was ruled by those monsters. The so-called humans. Her Majesty threw her coat at Pedro. Then she continued towards the floating palace. I saw how furious Pedro became. He shouted after her, but she couldn't hear him. If he continues with this savage behavior, then he will end up in custody. I know that I could lose my temper, so I don't want this guy to end up with the same fate as I did those years back. I'm lucky to even get past that gate again after that rampage. Anyway, Pedro said, is this where you lived? Yep, I said. Stayed until Her Majesty's 16th birthday. Pedro sighed. I can't imagine your relief to leave this horrible place, he said seriously. Before I could even say a word, Pedro was on his way into the palace. I suppose so, I said to myself. I stayed behind and watched over the garden. How calm it is here. The Queen has really changed since we last met. I hope she'd take care of this place. You know, it's only the Buckingham Palace we are talking about. I saw how the robots trimmed the hedges and cleaned up the leaves. The servants of the almighty Queen, huh? I thought. I guess she really replaced us with emotional robots. I really hate this place. Slowly I started walking towards the stairs to the palace. There I met the robot officer. She saluted me. If only she knew who I were. Greetings, Kane, the female robot said. Greetings to you, officer, I said. I've been ordered by the Majesty to keep an eye on you, she said. Good to know, I said. You are well informed, I see. The robot nodded and smiled when I passed her. Thank you, Kane, she said. I chuckled and continued my stroll up the stairs. I thought, yeah, I'm so fucked. I'm so fucking fucked. Well, I guess the lady could beat me up with one punch. These bullet sponging robots to officers really pissed me off in prison. I'd rather not piss off the Queen then. Inside I sat sipping more from my beer. Finally I threw it in the trash can. After a while that man, Pedro, came. He sat down next to me and he told me how Her Majesty wanted a word with me. He said it was urgent too. Tell Her Majesty, I began, that I've done what she asked me for. Come on, Kane, Pedro said. You know it, I can't do that. The Queen will be mad. I sighed. I know, I said. I'm sorry, dude. I better head home. Pedro stood up and stopped me from walking. What more can I do? He's a war hero from Brazil. I know he would beat me in a fight, but I had an ace hidden in my robe. He'll never expect it. Guns blazing time. Hell yeah! I will not ask you twice, Pedro shouted. You don't need to, I thought. Then I heard a click. I've heard that sound before. It's a gun. God dang it! Pedro bites his teeth with frustration. I made a "oh really" face. He stole my idea. Well, I guess we just think the same though. I held my hand in the air as a sign of defeat. Fine, I yelled. I'll go to the frickin' Queen. At least I can tell my friends that I met the Queen 2 times today. Pedro chuckled. That's right, he said. You'll meet her twice today. Send her my regards. Well, I said, I'll do anything to a guy who pulls a gun on me. No hard feelings, Kane? He said. Well, I said, I never had any feelings for you, compadre. He pulled away the gun and pointed towards the Queen's chamber. Don't keep the lady waiting, Pedro said with a smirk on his face. I pushed Pedro aside and walked towards the chamber. My last visit to the Queen herself. I would rather not speak of with her. It's not like I've been forced to obey her crazy orders. After I was released, I was forced to follow commands from her. This was my final job. A foreigner like me has no say. I thought this was my home, until she backstabbed me. To her, I was just a servant, a pet. There's no blood that bound me with these humans. Yet, I still am a person, you know. I'm not a cat. Not anymore, at least. Probably I'm just crazy. The establishment don't allow change of mind. They are the same as they were 1,000 years ago. Slowly I opened the door to the chamber. My eyes widened when I looked over the room. It was so clean. Such beauty. Ruined. A dead body focused my vision. It can't be. The Queen is dead. Long live the dead Queen.